Heading into the season, Arsenal had glaring problems that needed fixing. The slow build-up, lack of threat in transition, and a reliance on the same style of play in almost every game last season. Pre-season didn't start well, performances were flat, and the same issues from last season seemed to still be there. But against Bilbao things changed. Arteta went with a strong 11, we saw clearer tactical ideas and more variety in the way Arsenal played. In this video, we'll go through the adjustments shown in the game, and what does it mean for this team going forward. The biggest change we saw in this game was in midfield. Instead of Rice pushing high and playing in the pockets, he dropped alongside Zubimendi to form a double pivot in midfield. On the left, Calafiori stayed wide, operating as a traditional fullback, a contrast to last season, when the left back would tuck inside and play alongside the deepest midfielder. See, playing further back in midfield suits Rice a lot more. Whilst he's a very good midfielder, operating in the pockets higher up the pitch isn't his game, and it's something he was tasked with a lot last season. He's far better when he can see the play in front of him, stepping in to win the ball and play forward passes from deep. And it worked really well for Arsenal. Watch here, Zubimendi gives the ball to Rice, who has time and space to play a long switch ball to Saka. The quick play allows Saka to take his defender on and cause problem before the defence is settled. We see it again here. Zubimendi's positioning is key. Watch how he takes up this space in the pocket, surrounded by the opposition. See, Rice could play to Zubimendi, who's more than comfortable playing in this position. The Bilbao players know this, so they hold their shape and leave Rice open with time and space again, where he's able to play another long switch ball to Saka. This is an added layer to Arsenal's game that's been missing for quite some time. Rice is a fantastic passer when he has time and space to pick out his target. The presence of Zubimendi here gives him valuable seconds to line up his pass, as the opposition have to be cautious of him between the lines. In this game, Rice completed 5 out of 5 long passes, most of which led to dangerous attacks for Arsenal. Right from the off, there was more emphasis on playing through the centre. It's something that's been missing in Arsenal's game for the past 18 months or so. Last season, Arsenal would often start attacks by going wide to the wingers, then looking for space inside. But that gave defences time to shuffle across, narrow the pitch and limit openings. It made Arsenal's attack in open play very predictable and stale. See, by starting attacks in midfield, once you collapse the defence, you have far more ways to hurt the opposition. The Rice and Zubimendi pivot was key here, both capable of progressing the ball in various ways. This pivot sped up Arsenal's attacks, mainly thanks to Zubimendi's quick thinking and speed of execution. What stood out most with Zubimendi was his positioning. He spent a lot of time in the centre of the pitch, ready to receive between the lines. But there were times where he'd drop into the back three and even drift out wide to support his teammates. Watch here, as Saliba receives the ball, it triggers the opposition to press him. Zubimendi follows the opponent's path. Notice how he scans, looking ahead to see what's happening. Saliba finds Odegaard, who passes to Zubimendi, and he plays it to Saka in one motion, which has the Bilbao defence scrambling. Zubimendi is always looking for small advantages. It can go unnoticed at times, but it has a big impact on unsettling the opponent's structure. Watch here, he scans over his shoulder early, building a picture before the ball's even arrived. Saka does well to evade pressure, and Lukaku's free on the right wing. Zubimendi could have stopped his movement a long time ago, but instead he positioned himself to give Saka an option. He slips his teammate in behind, and it results in a clear goal scoring opportunity. This isn't a one-off. Zubimendi doesn't just sit in the middle of the pitch, he's constantly looking for ways to give his side the upper hand, whether that's drifting wide, rotating positions, or finding pockets of space. Zubimendi is always looking to make the game easier for his teammates. Watch here, he has the ball and could easily play it straight to Saliba. Instead, he waits for the opponents to get tight before releasing the ball. That delay baits the opponent into pressing, and the moment he passes it, he moves into the space that's been opened up. Saliba gives it straight back, and now Zubimendi has the full attention of Bilbao's defence. He passes it to Gyökeres, who really should have done better with the pass. But the key point is how selfless Zubimendi is. Every action is about making the game easier for his teammates, whilst unsettling the opposition's structure. And the spaces were there for Arsenal's forward to take advantage of. You can already see Gyökeres' influence on his Arsenal side. He loves drifting wide, always ready to chase passes into the channels. That movement allowed Martinelli to spend more time inside than usual. There were constant rotations between the front three, and they were far closer together than we've normally seen under Arteta in the past. Normally, Arsenal's wingers stay really wide to stretch the pitch, but that often leaves them receiving the ball far from goal, forcing them into crossing positions rather than scoring ones. Towards the end of last season, we started to see a change. Saka moved into central areas more often, and his goal threat increased. Against Bilbao, it felt like a clear part of the plan. We saw it in the goal. Arsenal win the ball back in midfield, one touch from Gyökeres into Odegaard, who finds Martinelli in behind, and Saka finishes it off. Look how close the forwards are to each other to start with, and how quickly the move develops. Having your biggest goal threats in close proximity, all ready to pounce, is exactly what you want to see, and this is an area where Arsenal needed to improve. Last season, Arsenal ranked 11th in the Premier League for direct attacks, with 63, and scoring 8 goals from these situations. Liverpool led the league with 98 direct attacks and scored 10 times, whilst Chelsea was second with 97 and scored 7 goals. For a side with title ambitions, that's a gap that needs to be closed. I mentioned earlier the number of passes played in behind for Saka. We saw plenty of passes down the flanks for Gyökeres. You could see his influence in making his teammates find him quickly with space in behind. He drifts wide to collect the ball and drives forward. He has Odegaard available in a position he loves to score from, but instead he passes to Calafiori. He probably should have given it to Odegaard, who's great at scoring from these positions. It's still early days for Gyökeres, but once he learns his teammates' tendencies, these situations will become even more dangerous for Arsenal. What I saw in the second half gave me real excitement for the upcoming season. With the introduction of Madueke, he was used on the left after Calafiori came off, and that's quite important because Arsenal's left side has struggled for some time now. Last season, Arsenal often attacked in a 3-2-2-3 shape, with Martinelli or Trossard holding the width on the left. The left-sided attacking midfielder was usually Rice, and the left-back will often invert into midfield. The problem here was a lack of true width. Martinelli loves cutting inside, Rice does the same, and the fullback rarely offered a consistent overlapping threat. It made the attacking play of Arsenal very predictable and easy to defend, which is why it was so important to see if Arteta would address this. And in the second half against Bilbao, it looked like he has. Right now, Arsenal have Calafiori as their main touchline fullback, but his injury issues have often disrupted the team's balance. Instead of buying another left-back to do that role, it looks like Arteta has taken a different approach. New signing Madueke has been given that responsibility. In the few games we've seen him, he's played off the left and stayed really wide. As a natural left footer, he doesn't have the same limitations as Martinelli, whose instinct is to cut inside. Madueke is comfortable holding that width. The combinations have been really interesting though. With Calafiori at left back, Arteta had Martinelli playing more inside, but when Madueke came on, he held the width like Calafiori, and instead of Rice joining the front 5, it was the fullback who pushed into the half space, while Rice stayed in the midfield pivot. This works well for a few reasons. Lewis-Skelly is excellent at playing between the lines. His ball carrying and press resistance were a bit suppressed when he had to start play from deep. Now, with the freedom to play closer to goal, he can give Arsenal a real threat at operating in the heart of the opposition's defence. See, last season, Arsenal were amongst the worst teams in the league at playing in zone 14, their central area just outside the box, and I think having Lewis-Skelly there will be a massive addition in playing in these congested areas and unlocking defences. Arteta trying different combinations on the left has been really encouraging to see. Finding solutions on the left that use players in roles they're most comfortable in is something Arsenal have been missing for a while. And it's bigger than expecting a single player to make a massive difference on their own. Building those connections and chemistry between players is just as important, because once that clicks, the whole structure improves. The signs from the Bilbao game are positive. Arsenal showed more variety in their game. They were faster, sharper, and more adaptable. More important than any new signing is using players in positions they're most comfortable in, and in this game, Arteta did exactly that. Seeing him try different combinations on the left was a real plus. Yes, it's only one game, and we saw the struggles earlier in pre-season, but it should give Arsenal fans some optimism heading into the season. Zubimendi's addition has added so many layers to Arsenal, his importance is already clear, and if he were to spend any time out, that could cause some real problems. What do you think of Arsenal's chances to win major honours this season? Do you think they've left themselves short in player quality? Comment below what you think, and until next time, peace.